Hello, DIY Dad here again. Now we get asked this question a lot, and a lot of people say, you're wrong. Now, at the moment we own a house, and we are selling our house so we can go world schooling. And a lot of people you speak to say, why are you selling your house? You should keep it. It's an asset. Well, for us, we need the money just to do world schooling to start with. And secondly, we see the house as a liability with the costs of, bills. So for us, we did look at renting a house out, but we were given a number and we were like, we're going to be potentially 6,000 or more miles away from this house. It's an old Cumbrian cottage. If you don't treat the house properly, it will suffer from damp. And we'd have to rely on an agency to do all this work, to do any repairs, to make sure the tenants were actually looking after it so it didn't get damp, lighting the fires properly, all the insurance purposes about having fires in it. So for us, with our experience of having houses in the past, and we at one point we did have a rental house, which was a nightmare. We had it as this holiday house for a small amount of time, and it was a nightmare trying to, the advertising to get people in was a nightmare. The people in it broke things all the time. That was a nightmare. So then I would have to go and fix the stuff they broke and go and sort any problems out, because the agency either couldn't do it or they couldn't find anyone to do the repairs. So I'm not comfortable having a house that we love this house, but we don't think that renting it is right for us, and we don't think it's right for the house. This house requires somebody to come in it, to love it as a house, as an old property as it is, and to look after it as theirs all the time. So that's the reasons why we're going to sell our house. But then we thought, well, why don't we go and buy a slightly cheaper property, a newer one that we could just rent out? And then we thought, we were looking at cheaper houses. We were like, well, we're not going to gain a huge amount. Again, we're not going to gain much from the rental, because the management company is going to take a big percentage of that. If there's any problems, things that I would be worried about. So for example, if say the boiler goes, that would be your responsibility to fix that. So that could be, last time I had an oil boiler replaced, that was about 5,000 or 6,000, I think it was. So you're talking, this is an issue. And tenants are going to say things like, oh, well, because the boiler wasn't working for this amount of time, I don't think we need to pay this amount of rent. And, yeah, that's true. And I don't think the rental market now is actually very good for people renting houses. The rules are changing. Renters can now get away with not paying their rent for quite a long period of time, and you still won't be able to force them out of your house. So it might be that you end up with the wrong tenant, that you can't get out of your house, and you're paying for all of the bills and everything for the house because they're not paying it, and you can't get them out of the house, and it could take you 6 months to a year to get these people out, because they've got now more rights than the person that owns the house. So I think the rental market's going to become more problematic, because people aren't going to want to rent their houses out because of this. So for all of these reasons, plus, is your house an asset anyway? Is it going to increase in value? What's going to happen in the future? Well, everyone's like, well, houses are really safe. With what's happening in the world at the moment, I have no idea. And a house is not something you can just say, oh, I'll just sell it tomorrow. If you've got people in there renting, you have to give them notice. Then you have to get an estate agent. You have to probably do a bit of work to it before you sell it. And then you've got to do viewings. And then it's just, oh God, it's ongoing. It's taken, the average sale now in the UK is like a minimum of 16 weeks. Hours, and then it falls through because the chain's too long, because the system of house buying and selling doesn't work anymore. So all of these reasons put us off house ownership. We're going to go away, we're going to rent places that are cheaper than the UK, and and we're going to enjoy ourselves without the worry of being tied to the UK. And the government at the moment is hell-bent on taking as much tax off every single person as they possibly can. They were thinking of getting rid of council tax and some of the other taxes and putting it all into a house buyer's tax, which the buyer and the seller would have to pay. That's insanity. So we have no idea what's going to happen in the housing market or with houses or the tax rules or new rules coming in. It isn't worth our while, I don't think. So for all these reasons, in terms of owning a house in the UK, we're out.